So I had negative 2 cosine squared x plus 3 cosine x minus 1 equals 0. And so when I divide by negative 1, we're going to have 2 cosine squared x minus 3 cosine x plus 1 equals 0. And I'm going to factor that. So I'm going to split up 2 cosine squared into 2 cosine, and 1 into 1 and 1. If I want a negative, they both need to be negative. So then next, I'm just going to set them all equal to 0. So my 2 cosine x minus 1 equals 0 will give me cosine of x equals a half, and I'll come back to that in a second. And cosine of x minus 1 equals 0 gives me cosine of x equals 1. And hold on, let me add in a unit circle. Hold on, I'm just adding in a unit circle so that, okay, let me make this a little bit bigger. I'll put it up, most of it up here. Sorry, it covers the top part. My cosine is positive, all students take calculus, in the first and the fourth quadrant. So if I look in the first and the fourth quadrant, cosine is a half at pi over 3 and at 5 pi over 3. So this is, pi over 3, 5 pi over 3. Remember, since I'm restricting these to the unit circle, I don't need to add the n pi stuff to the end. That's part of my answer. And then my cosine is 1 at 0. So remember, we are doing 0 to 2 pi, which means you include 0, but not 2 pi. 2 pi is the beginning of the next rotation of your unit circle. Okay, number 7. Solve 3 tangent squared x minus 1 equals 0 over 0 to 2 pi. So I've got 3 tangent squared x minus 1 equals 0. Add 1. That gives me 3 tangent squared x equals 1. Divide by 3. Tangent squared x equals a third. Take a square root to get rid of that. That gives me square root of 1/3, which is square root of 1 over square root of 3, which is 1 over square root of 3, which is square root of 3 over 3. So I'm looking for where tangent, and I forgot my plus or minus, of x equals plus or minus square root of 3 over 3. And in that case, and since there's no restrictions, you need to give me all 4 answers. And so tangent is square root of 3 over 3 at all of your 30-degree reference angles. So it'll be at pi over 6, 5 pi over 6, 7 pi over 6, 11 pi over 6. Now we're on to multiple angle equations. So you'll notice that instead of having an x in here, this has a 4x. Okay? So we're going to kind of treat this. I'm going to basically let a u equal 4x. I'm just going to kind of use some substitution and kind of show you what I'm doing. So that's 1/2 minus sine of u equals 0. So we're just going to pretend it's any variable and solve it like we normally would. So that means I'm going to subtract 1/2. It gives me negative sine u equals negative 1/2. Sine u equals 1/2. So normally, my sine would be a half in positive in the first quadrant and second quadrant. So that means u would normally be sine is a half at pi over 6 and at 5 pi over 6. So it would be pi over 6 plus 2n pi and 5 pi over 6 plus 2n pi. However, if you remember originally, just for our problem, we let u equal 4x. So now I have to go back and I have to change this u back to 4x. And you can guess what I'm going to do now. we're going to divide everything by 4. So that's going to give me pi over 6 divided by 4, 2n pi divided by 4. Pi over 6, 5 pi over 6 divided by 4, 2n pi over 4. So pi over 6 divided by 4 is going to give me pi over 24 plus 2n pi divided by 4. 2 divided by 4 reduces to a half. So it'll be plus n pi over 2, or pi over 2n, whichever way you want to write it. 5 pi over 6 divided by 4, if you copy dot flip it, is 5 pi over 24, also divided by, or plus n pi over 2. So you do it just like everything else. I'm just making a general substitution. And learning to do these will help you when you get to calculus and you have to do derivatives. This way you basically let something equal something else and then you go back and substitute it in later to help you make your problem easier. So as long as I have no restrictions on here, I have to add the n pi over 2 stuff on all of this. Okay, now these ones are going to work a little different when you have 0 to 2 pi. Because there's a 3x here, okay, remember just like we did on the last problem, you ended up dividing by 4. So you're going to end up dividing by 3. So if I divide by 3 right now and I only have answers from 0 to 2 pi, I'm only going to get answers from 0 to 2 pi over 3. So in order to get all of my answers be 0 to 2 pi, I'm going to have to triple this. So you're going to basically be looking at the beginning from answers from 0 to 6 pi. All I did was multiply this by 3. Because in the end, remember, I'm going to divide all of the answers by 3. So if I divide any answer between 0 and 6 pi, divided by 3, it's going to end up within 0 to 2 pi. So I'm going to have to basically go around 3 times. So let's set it again. I'm going to let u equals to 3x. So this is square root of 2 plus 2 cosine u equals 0. 2 cosine u equals negative square root of 2. Cosine of u equals negative root 2 over 2. So that means I'm looking for the trig functions that are in the second and the third quadrant. And cosine is negative square root of 2 over 2 at 3 pi over 4 and 5 pi over 4. So I'm starting with 3 pi over 4 and 5 pi over 4. And then I need to go around one more time to get to the next one. So if I add 2 pi, that's like adding 8 pi. So remember, 2 pi is equal to 8 pi over 4. So if I add 8 pi over 4 to this, I'm going to get 11 pi over 4. If I add 8 pi to this one, I'm going to get 13 pi over 4. That would be, so my first time around hits those two. My second time around will hit 11 pi over 4 and 13 pi over 4. And then one more time around, oops, let me go back. So the second time around, and then I'm going to go a third time around to hit, add another 8 will take me to 19, add another 8 will take me to 21. So then I'm going to hit, so add another 8 will take me to 19 pi over 4. If I keep going to this one again, add another 8 will take me to 21 pi over 4. So 19 pi over 4, 21 pi over 4. So keep in mind, as we're doing this, we're going to still end up dividing. So 21 pi over 4 seems like weird that you went around 3 times. However, remember that we let u equal to be 3x. So I'm going to have to divide everything by 3. Oops. For that. So 3 pi over 4 divided by 3 will give me pi over 4. 5 pi over 4 divided by 3 gives me 5 pi over 12. 11 pi over 4 divided by 3 gives me 11 pi over 12. 13 pi over 4 divided by 3 gives me 13 pi over 12. 19 pi over 4 divided by 3 gives me 19 pi over 12. And 21 pi over 4, 21 pi over 4 divided by 3 gives me 21 pi over 12. And you can think in your head, if this denominator is 12, 0 is down here, 12 would be 24 pi over 12. So this is 0 to 2 pi. So in the end, you ended up with every single answer between 0 and 2 pi that satisfies this equation. So all of these are my answers. So the key thing to remember is when you have restrictions, you have to go around this many times. So if it says 3, you have to give me 3 rotations of unit circle. If it says 10, you need to go around 10 times. I should have 1 round of my unit circle, then the next set of coterminal angles, and the next set, 10 times around. So whatever this number is, you go around that many times. Here's rotation 1, rotation 2, rotation 3.